I'm guessing there's no surprise there. So, and so that you guys know, one of the things that I like to do for my audience is we live stream so that they see the behind the scenes. They often like to know how the sausage is made. With that being said, we are, just so that you know, we are live. Not that I think it would change anything that you were about to say or not say, but I did want you to know that. Now, now that we finally got it, are we still good? Because we need to come away with 2 20-minute segments of content. Are you guys still good on time, or do we need to,
Yeah. So I need to be done by 12:45. Joey, what's your schedule?
I am. Hold on one second.
When you say 12:45, are you on? Please tell me you're on Central Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Central
I
Time.
have a 12:45 as well, and
Okay.
if I need to move that back 15 minutes or so, I can.
All right, we will work quickly and efficiently. Let me get my notepad up here because of all of the technical stuff. I didn't get a chance to do that. So, as I was saying, the goal is to come away with 2 20-minute segments of content. At the end of the day, we are recording on 2 separate channels. Now, because there are 2 of you, you 2, unfortunately, are on the same channel. So do your best to try not to talk over each other, so just so that you know. However, if for some reason something too loud and or distracting occurs when you guys are talking, I'll let you know, and we may need to stop and restart. And what that simply means is to snap into the microphone 3 times, wait 3 seconds, and then pick up right where you left off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And so just so that you know, I don't know if you guys are open to this or not. I'm looking at some of the comments from people already that are watching, etc. If you're open, I don't know if you're open to taking any of their questions or not, but are you?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And then, oh, that's right. I was supposed to be bringing up my notes that they sent me. The questions that they sent me ahead of time, I have historically ignored them. And I didn't.
Good. That makes you like us, Jay.
He's honest. I like him already.
Yeah. I just try to tell people up front, like, look, I know you think that this is what I'm going to ask, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, good, because I don't even know what we sent you.
Yep. Point taken. This is good, because you're like, would you even know? So with that being said, the first and last questions tend to be the same, so that's good. And I use that first question, listen to your guys' answers. Because there are 2 of you, there will be times where I am asking both of you that same question, and I'll do my best to try to make that clear. And there will also be times where I'm asking one or the other of you to answer a particular question. So don't be upset if I wanted to answer that one. Well, we don't.
I won't hold a grudge.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, once people are done listening, where do you want them to go?
We can point them to the website, wealthwithoutwallstreet.com. Or we actually have a community that we've been growing that they can get access directly at a community.wealthwithoutwallstreet.com.
Is this like on Facebook or something?
It's actually on its own white labeled app.
Got it.
And so we purposely did not put it on Facebook because it can be distracting, And so we just launched this in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
I've never been distracted by Facebook ever. Not even once. Couldn't happen to me. I'm impervious to their power.
Good.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
We finally met him.
Teach me something.
That one
Teach me
guy.
something, Sensei.
Yeah. Can't help you there. Sorry. There is no course for that. Other than, well, actually, the one thing I do, that's why I use, you can't see this, that's why I use this particular device. When I don't want to be distracted, I actually use this because all it can do is be my notebook. That's literally it. It can't, there is no distracting because there's nothing else it has the power to do, but I hear you. All right, now when you say the website, you're talking about wealthwithoutwallstreet.com?
That's right.
All right, got it.
Yep.
I will give you an opportunity to give that CTA towards the end as well. And for those of you watching, I'm pulling it up and you'll be able to see it on my screen. All right.
By the way, so Jay, what makes this a win for you in your audience today? Like what's the main thing you want to accomplish?
Well, that's funny that you say that, because that was actually my next question for you, was to find out what it is you guys were hoping to talk about today. Given your background and what your business does, between the IBC concepts and wealth without Wall Street, not using banks, I mean, that's how people know me in the real estate world. I mean, I've raised tens of millions of dollars and done all kinds of apartment buildings, cell phone towers, commercial property, short-term rentals, etc. So we have a lot to talk about, and we can go in any particular direction. At the end of the day, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to help the entrepreneurs watching and listening become bigger, better, badder. I don't know what that means just yet, because it all comes from your answers to the first question that I give everybody. And once I hear that, then I go, okay, cool. I have an idea of what we need to talk about and where we need to go from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, if there's something in particular, though, you want to make sure that we talk about, now would be the time to let me know.
No,
I think the thing that, and it'll come out in more of what we talk about, though, is how important the community around you is to obtaining your financial goals. And this is something that's evolved for us over the last 10 years.
Sure.
We've, and so it's just led us to build that community of people that are thinking this way, trying to get out from under Wall Street, create passive income. And how do we do that except when we're around people that are seeking the same thing? And so anyways, community has gotten to be a really big topic for us. And so it'll come out naturally, but anyways, that's probably one of the hottest things on our mind.
Absolutely, no problem. Now, for a moment, I've been trying to figure it out. I can't tell who's Russ and who's Joey.
Oh, Joey is the really good-looking Italian guy.
And if I wasn't looking, Stallion. But I'm trying to figure out, because I'm primarily listening.
Oh, you're just listening.
Yeah, even though you guys are showing me a video, I can't see it. In my setup, I'm only focused on auditory here. So like I said, the people in the live stream, they can't see you, they can only hear you. And I can't see you, I can only hear you. So I'm trying to figure out who's who.
So I'm Russ. I'm actually the better looking of the two. Joey is...
This is Joey, and
okay.
I go by the Italian Stallion. Russ should go by the Country Bumpkin. So you'll hear a lot stronger accent.
Yeah, that's basically what that's exactly where it was. I was like trying to figure out, how am I going to tell who's speaking, and I was like, accent, there it is, and I finally clued in on it. So thank you.
All right. Yes.
Okay. Now they gave me a lot of information, as they always do, about you guys. So in a moment, what's going to happen is going to be about 3 seconds of silence. We're going to do the intro, and the information that they gave me, there's too much of it here. I can't read it all. So I'm curious to know if there's anything in particular you want me to make sure that I mention, and if so, what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a traditional background in finance. This is Russ. And 10 years ago, kind of like threw all that out whenever the market kind of did what it did. So that's my focus is kind of like breaking the mold, getting rid of what you were taught. And I know that, Jay, you have some of that background as well. So probably a lot of the same sort of things that kind of thought process as I have too.
Got it.
And I was in the mortgage business. This is Joey. I was in the mortgage business for 11 years and learned from Russ. Actually, I was Russ's client. And over 4 years of being his client was like, wait a minute. All these things that you're teaching me that I'm learning, this is stuff people need to know. And there's so few of us out there that are going against the current, going against the tide, so to speak, and freeing people, giving them this information. This is gold. We have to get this out. And so I quit my job 5 years ago to join him, and that kind of began the process of starting Wealth Without Wall Street, and really standing for creating true financial freedom for people and giving them this insight that I felt like I was entrusted with.
Were you expecting to write down all this stuff?
Well, what's funny, that's actually what I'm doing. I'm actually writing so based upon how you guys are responding and interacting right now, I am literally creating my notes for the intro that you're about to hear. So that's why I asked. Yeah, no, you're doing fine.
So anyways, that just got us fired up together to consistently push against, really it's the mindset that we've all been grown up with about money, and more so even having to give up control of it to get ahead, which is totally opposite. And so anyways, those are just a couple of talking points.
Yeah, see, I told you we were going to we could talk forever. Got it. We're going to have to be focused though, because you got to go. All right. So 1, 2, 3. So in a moment, as I said, there's going to be about 3 seconds of silence, and then I'll come back and do the intro. It should sound like a normal conversation, which would happen in this case between the three of us at a coffee shop. So the things that tend to happen during a normal conversation, interruptions, laughter, etc., we're going to leave those in 100% because that's just how we roll. If for some reason we do need to stop or restart you, like I said, it'll be snap into the microphone 3 times, wait 3 seconds, and then pick up right where you left off. Towards the end, there'll be a final question. You'll hear me do the outro after you've answered, and then we can debrief about whatever you'd like at that time. For the sake of formality, could you do me a favor and both of you pronounce your first and last names, please?
So my name is Joey Mure, just like puree, but with an M.
Hold on. Joey Mure.
Mure. There you go.
Mure. Okay, got it. I'm writing it differently, but got it.
Phonetically, yeah.
Yeah. And mine is Russ Morgan.
Okay. That was easy.
Yeah.
The T is silent at the end. I'm just kidding.
Or the people that I order pizza from on a regular basis, I write down rough.
Wow.
FF. By
yeah.
the way.
I can relate. I can relate. I'll go to Starbucks and I'll say, they ask your name. I'll say J. I don't actually tell them my first name because they will not get it. So I just say J. And I will frequently get Dave on the cup. And I'm like, whatever.
That's right. The art of listening is long past most people.
Yeah, apparently. So it's all good. All right. Did you guys have any questions for me before we get started?
I think that we can probably do it in a debrief at the end, but I'd love to hear more about how we can work with you in the future, like maybe even have you come and provide some value on what you're learning to the community, because we have a big component is real estate, and it sounds like you are the guru.
I've been, and what's funny, I think Russ, as long as that same time when you were making the switch, I made the switch into real estate. That like 2008 was literally when I closed my first real estate transaction. So.
Oh wow,
nice.
So it was really been doing that and real estate related strategies ever since. So it's kind of the world I know and understand. So yeah, no, I'm totally open to that. Whatever we can do to help create more entrepreneurs, that's the plan. That's my plan anyway. So
awesome.
Anything else? 1, 2, 3.
Nope. No, that's good.
All right, cool. Here we go. It's going to be about 3 seconds of silence. I'm going to come back. We're going to do the intro and making sure I've got all that I need to do that intro. And then and then we're going to get started. All right. Here we go. Actually, I forgot one thing. Mark time, 10 to 10. Got 30 minutes. And we're going to stay focused and get it done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the CashFlowDiary podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today because we are going to talk about, what is a lot of people's favorite subject. That subject, of course, is money. Not just how to earn it, but most importantly, what do you what do you do with it once you have it? And are there really as few options as you would believe? In fact, today's guest would even go so far as to say that you could build, earn, make wealth without Wall Street. In fact, that's also their website, Wealth Without Wall Street. What gets me excited about that is the fact that having completed hundreds of real estate transactions and raised tens of millions of dollars and been in the real estate world for quite some time, I've never used a bank loan myself. But what's interesting is that I think that they have other ideas that will help you and I also set our capital, our ideas, our minds, if you will, free. What gets me excited though is sometimes the components that we need in order to make that happen isn't necessarily more knowledge. It can't be taught, but it can be caught if we are hanging around the right people. And I think today we're going to meet two of the right people. I'm, of course, talking about Joey Mure and Russ Morgan. Now, these two individuals, as I said, when it comes around to helping individuals, they are committed. They have the podcast, they've been the financial planner, they've also been the mortgage guy, they've been in the real estate industry for quite some time, and the financial industry as well. What this means is that they've had insight to what people do with their money, right and wrong. What this means is that they know how to help you and I become more efficient with it. So here's what you and I are going to do right now. We're going to get ready to listen, love, and learn from Joey and Russ. Guys, how you doing?
We're fantastic, man. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, what an amazing intro. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you very much. You guys make it easy when, well, you do stuff that I know. You know, that's what I like. That's what I like. Now, before we get too far deep into this, one of the things that I have to do is I have to ask you the same question I tend to ask everybody else. You ready?
Yes,
absolutely.
do it.
All right. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. You know, Spider-Man, Hulk, Batman, Superman, etc. Because I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton of things in common. For example, if you think about it, as an entrepreneur, I can easily envision myself flying around town, using our products and services, and saving customers one sale at a time. And yes, I'm probably wearing a cape at that moment. Also, though, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. So if you think about Spider-Man, there was a time when he was just a kid going to school, doing his thing, taking photos, because he just wanted to have enough money to take Mary Jane on a date. That was it. Then one day he gets bit by a spider, discovers that he's got a superhuman ability, and well, he has to choose. You know, am I going to use this ability for good or for evil? So my question to you guys is, before Wealth Without Wall Street, before, Russ, you were the idea guy and Joey the stallion, before all of those things, before mortgage, before financial planning, before the things that everyone knows you for today, what we want to know is, who is Russ Morgan and Joey Mure?
Well, you know, you mentioned superheroes. So when I was a kid, one of my favorite uncles used to give me green Tic Tacs, but he called them Hulk pills. and that was something, every time I saw him, he wanted to give me a Hulk pill. And I knew that forever. And it's an amazing thing. And that imagination, I think, has always been a part of my background, is envisioning something bigger or better than where I am. So I grew up, literally, my parents divorced when I was a really young child. And so my mom, knowing that she's going to have to raise my sister and I, who was 6 years older than me, went back to school, went to college, and completed about 2 years worth of coursework in a year and 1 quarter. But during that time frame, she had to basically let my sister, who was in the 8th grade, me in the 2nd grade, manage herself. And I just remember, like, just imagining ways to help her. And one of the things that I did as a young kid is I came up with $10 for her graduation. I walked equivalent about 1.5 miles as a 7-year-old kid down a busy freeway to get her to two little like crystal, like fake crystal candle holders. And when she realized that I had done this, when she opened this present, that was like the thing that has always been kind of a motivating. So for me, like, it's always like thinking back to how do I imagine to help my mom? How do I help others? And it just from a young age, it like motivation has always been my key.
Wow. I'm sure she probably burst into tears and was a mess on that one.
She really was. I mean, literally. I mean, I think one, like, how did I come up with the $10? And and I'll be honest, I don't even know. But more importantly, to know that me and my other little 7-year-old buddy like walked down this major freeway in order to like get to the mall. I think when she realized that happened, it was like all that culminated into a lot of tears, I think.
Wow. Got it. Okay. All right. That's you.
Yeah, so I'll jump in and mention, I think you're also talking about superheroes. I think of like the unconventional superhero that was huge for me growing up was the Italian Stallion, right?
Come
Rocky
on,
Balboa.
Are you serious? Are we really going here? Okay.
Dude, come on. I mean, that's what they call me on the show. Okay. I actually had in high school a 66 Mustang with on the front of it, the Italian Stallion.
Of course.
I mean, so I've been living this for a long time, but it really started. I mean, you think about who Rocky Balboa was. I mean, this guy came from nothing. He was kind of behind, or he was the underling, like, right? I mean, he's sitting here having to fight Ivan Drago, right? I mean, this guy is the big bad Wallstreet, if you will, right?
Sure.
And he's taking him on head on. And I don't, again, this is not like a perfect analogy by any means, Jay. I don't mean to like minimize Rocky Balboa, but I was the Italian kid growing up. And I remember distinctly, this is just one of those moments that kind of defines who we are as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people. My dad, my mom saying, you know what, we really want more for you. We want you to go to school, but you're on your own. By the way, we don't make any money. They work for the Salvation Army, which is fantastic. I mean, they make an impact in other ways than dollars, right, in people's lives, which I mean, that's been a huge part of who I am. But the other part was, hey, we have no money, and you have to do this on your own. And I remember, I mean, I'm probably second, third, fourth grade, something like this, and having my dad have that conversation. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to have to make this happen. So how do people go to college without money? Well, you got to get a scholarship, right? And so I just remember making it like, okay, I'm going to be so dialed in on my education that I'm going to get a scholarship. I don't even know how the end works out exactly, but I'm going to be the best I possibly can. And I remember in 5th grade getting a B for the first time. And going home and crying, thinking, okay, I've messed up my opportunity to go to college. Like nobody's going to take me with a B in 5th grade. Well, obviously, obviously, 5th grade doesn't count in terms of that whole deal. And so I learned that after the fact. I was like, man, I wish somebody would have told me that before I went home crying. But, all through middle school, high school, I excelled, ended up being valedictorian in my high school. And that afforded me a free ride to the university that I went to here just south of Birmingham, Alabama. And it was kind of like that final, wow, I did it. Like I defeated Ivan. I made it to college.
Right.
And so anyway, again, I'm not the Italian Stallion, the Rocky Balboa, but that's who I would kind of, picture myself.
Got it. And you are definitely the first to even mention Rocky as a superhero out of the hundreds of people that I have asked this question to. So
now, a lot of people would agree with you though. Now that you said it, they'd be like, "Of course, man. He's like America's superhero, like not Captain America, but Rocky Balboa."
Right. No, and when you put it that way, it totally. It makes sense. And I think something interesting from what both of you have said that I think is applicable for nearly every entrepreneur, like for you, Russ, when when you're, and because this is so true, it didn't matter to you. Your safety was irrelevant. How you got the $10 for the candles was irrelevant. None of those things, because entrepreneurs ask this all the time. I want to start a business. That's how it starts. They like have an idea, and then the first thing they go is, where am I going to get the money from? That was not something you were willing to let limit you, because making your mom happy or doing something for your mom was way more important. You just did not care. In fact, your friend probably came along and didn't even know why, and it didn't matter. He was there because you enrolled him in that process. And Joey, you were given a gift so early, because oftentimes when we want to go somewhere, we fail to take inventory of where we are. And again, that's the thing. You know, entrepreneurs will constantly go, well, this is the year that I'm going to make, 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever it is. But your parents gave you the gift of knowing, hey, here's what we see for you. Here's the vision. We have no clue how you're going to get there, because we don't have the resources, but we believe it can happen. And I think that's like an amazing thing. And I don't know if either of you have ever thought of it that way, but that's what I hear.
Oh yeah, no, that you're right on. It's amazing how you hear those stories, and you're applying it to what, like, now we know as entrepreneurs and business owners, it is exactly what you're saying.
Well, and I've heard that too. Like what you've learned by the second or third grade is literally the way that you process life as an adult. And you're right. Like that ability to say, okay, here's my vision. I'm going to attack it. Or, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to get there, but you're right. I'm going to definitely enroll other people in it, because I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to use imagination to create. We're going to make this thing happen. Don't tell me that I can't walk 1.5 miles across the freeway. I'm going to do it. Don't tell me I can't start a business. I'm going to do it.
Correct. And those are the things that don't matter. I mean, at that moment in time, Now, I've got some questions here. Take us on a quick abbreviated version of the journey. How do we go from giving your mom, a candles or candle holder, I think it was, and having having a meltdown over a B in the 5th grade, all the way to wealth without Wallstreet? How does that happen?
Yes, I think for me, that part of like creating a vision. I mean, I think of my mom, and I literally told her, like, I watched her work so hard early on. Mm-hmm. I told her this was a vision, Jay, that I'm gonna like own storage facilities in my young 30s, late 20s, whatever it may be, and I'm gonna have a place for you that you're gonna be able to work, manage, like own, like we're gonna build this thing. Like there's the vision. Like I'm gonna take care of mom. And so like from a young age, like my brain always was thinking like, how can I create something, a business or whatever, an investment opportunity. And for me, like that was like, all right, well, I got to learn about money. So that's why I got into the traditional financial planning world. It didn't take long for me to figure out that world didn't work the way that I was taught.
Preach it, bro.
Had a lot of ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it was, like entrepreneurship, ownership. It all fell in line with, first, how do I help mom, how to take care of her, which, by the way, we don't own any storage facilities and she's not working them. But, it all was based upon that vision.
Understood. Got it. Joey?
And for me, from going into the seeking education as a solution to the problem, really was what it was for me, is like, okay, how do I get to the end, which I've been told, okay, well, college, having a degree, being the first in your family to have a degree, this is the end goal. I gotta put everything behind this. That really didn't necessarily lead me to this end, except that it showed me that what was possible, right? That I do have no limit on what can be possible. And that my experience in college led me to really seek out mentors at that time that ended up guiding me, directing me to say, you know what, there are ways in the business world that you can be impactful, you can have impact. And I think that's the part that I borrowed from my parents as well. Their involvement with the Salvation Army is all about impacting people's lives. But these mentors now were sharing from that standpoint, you can do that through business ownership. You can do that through the business world. And so I started to kind of navigate. I love math. And they said, man, here's the mortgage business. So I was like, wow, this makes a lot of sense. And I transitioned into that right out of college and spent 11 years doing it excellently, growing a team. I had 25 loan officers when I finally gave it all up and was doing over 20 loans a month personally, working about 172 hours a week, it seems like. But that led me to then working with Russ as a client first and learning I want my money to do something differently. I'm making a lot more money than I anticipated I would be making at this age, but it doesn't seem to be working like the way that I anticipated. Once you start making more money, it should start growing faster and all these things. Well, those things weren't working out, and so I needed alternatives. That's where I met Russ.
Now, Russ, I have to ask the question because I mean, I know why I made the choices that were made, but when it comes down to the concept of wealth without Wall Street, you at this time were the ultimate representative of everything they stood for. What is it why the name? There's a reason you guys felt strongly enough to go, this is what we're leading the market with. What is it that we find when it comes to wealth without Wall Street?
Jay, I think success leaves clues, right? You look and see what other people are doing with money. And that's, I guess, one of the benefits I had as being the typical or financial advisor is that I got to see what a lot of people were doing with money. And even though, my job was to sign them up to the Wall Street game, right? To get them in the 401k, the IRA, the mutual fund, the stock, whatever it may be. That was my job. And they would always put a little money there. But when I really would dig underneath the surface, I'd see where the real money was being made. And it was never in that. And so for me, one, I knew the wealth was without Wall Street. But to be honest, when the market crashed in 2008 and I was sitting there, like Joey said, looking toward mentors, my mentors all had their palms up to the sky too. Like nobody knew. Nobody knew. Of course, soon after all the marketing came out and they gave you a reason how to combat it for the next trip. But the reality is nobody knew what was going on. And that immediately told me I can't be a part of this. Like my job is to help people. And if I don't know, and the people that I look to for knowledge don't know, this is not the game. And it all kind of started to fall into place as I started seeking new mentors that, man, the wisdom is in wealth and the wealth is without Wall Street.
Okay. So if we're not going to use Wall Street, then what are we going to do?
Yeah. Well, when I see like real estate, right? Business ownership, private lending, those became like the three like asset classes that was the most prominent in the clients I was working with. And it ultimately became like, how do I get there? And, is there better strategies to handle my cash and my cash flow? And why are these guys all, talking about using these life insurance contracts as a way to buy this real estate or to invest through their business? And man, I'm telling you, it was a windy road there for a little bit. And I was kind of Joey called me a country bumpkin earlier at a place, right? I didn't know what I didn't know, but I was willing and able to listen. And
right.
And so, yeah, those were the answers.
Yeah. But hold on one second. You said real estate, business ownership, and private lending. Let me play, for lack of a better term, devil's advocate for the person who isn't here right now, doesn't have the microphone and can't ask. I mean, I think they would push back and say, but all that requires money. I don't have money right now. How do I build wealth without Wall Street?
So I think you have to start with the very first two. So what Russ is talking about, we have 5 pillars of wealth without Wall Street.
Got it.
And I think if you think about them in a logical step-by-step, the first one starts with keep more of the money that you make, and that's cash flow, right? Which just happens to be the name of your podcast, right? CashFlowDiary. So we didn't make that up for this show. I promise you, okay? that has to do with, okay, where am I unnecessarily spending or losing money that I didn't realize was the case? So for instance, we employ tax strategies to hold on to more of the money that we're making and not to send that to the IRS without thinking first about, is there a strategy I should be employing here? So we have clients that came to us paying over $100,000, $200,000 in taxes, saving 30, 40, 50% of those dollars. Now that they were, again, was right under their nose the whole time. So that's one place that people can find cash. The second would be debt strategies under that cash flow pillar, if you will. How do I pay off debt? Those things are necessary to have at certain times, but how do I then get those debt strategies in line to help me, not just the big banks and Wall Street?
Well, and I think a part of that too, Joey, is that, and we found this out very early on, Jay, is that the strategies and efficiencies that the wealthy use are, one, they understand other people's money. So you mentioned, well, I don't have any. But as you know, and you said that, I mean, most people buy real estate all the time and they never use their own, right? But they have to understand the processes. Maybe they have to be in the right credit position. So yeah, paying down debt and being in a good credit position is a wonderful thing. But really, people separate their money all the time. They give it away. I was on the phone today with a guy that has a CPA background, owns manages like 300 different rental properties for the company that he works for. That's his job, to go evaluate properties, buy them, manage them. Yet he still on an annual basis is sticking $30,000-$40,000 a year into these qualified plans that he comes out and says, I know nothing about.
Whoa. What? I mean, I think I heard what you said, but I'm like, what?
Yes, exactly. But really, most people, they follow that herd. They separate themselves from cash. And so when they say I have no cash, the reality is they don't have access to cash. They've put their cash in places that they can't use and in places they don't know. And so our number one approach to everything is invest in what you know, invest in yourself, because that's who you know the best. And literally the best investment you'll ever make is in that. And if you can create that into a business, even better.
You know, there's something that you just said right there when you said you separate them, when we separate ourselves from cash, that I think is very important, because there's and I don't know, maybe you agree, disagree, but it seems as though there's, and I don't want to call it a conspiracy, but there's a common thought of, you know what? You don't know what to do with your money, so give it to me. Does that make sense?
100%. Or you're not smart enough.
Right.
So they've confounded the entire investment process by putting different terminology and jargon out there
that gets
as
under my
marketing
nerves. That
against
gets so
in a reason to say, you just don't know enough, let us handle it for you. And it's the biggest lie that we've been fed, and we buy it. I mean, as a whole, our country buys it hook, line, and sinker.
And that gets on my nerves every time, because it's like you didn't need to use such a complicated term when what you're describing is simply return on investment.
Yeah.
You know, you're just saying, hey, this is how much money you get back. You don't have to use a 12-syllable word to mean that. Anyway, I'm about to get triggered here in a minute. Yes. And what's worse is that oftentimes one can be made to think that it's impossible to learn so many words or terms and things. I started, and I wish people were there to actually see me. What I started doing is I literally started, anytime someone said a word, and again, it's the same stuff Mom always said, but I went to Investopedia when they first came out. Anytime they said a word, I'm like, I don't know what that is. It was a long list, and it took a while. And all I did was look them up and go, oh, that's what you meant? And I kept finding myself doing that. It's like, oh, well, why didn't you just say that? Over and over and over again. So when it comes down to it, when you guys over there at Wealth Without Wall Street, when someone comes to you, why do they typically seek you out? What do they find when they get in there? What problem, ultimately, are they looking to solve?
It typically is, what do I do? right? I mean, they know that what they've been trying is not working. They know that it
that's
doesn't
easy
feel
to
right.
see for everybody right there. They're like, wow, this didn't work. But what
Yeah,
else?
no, like I mean, be honest though, a lot of people want to be told what to do, and I think that is a product of our education environment, that we literally have been following these rules, and so we assume we have to follow some other rule. So most of the people that come to us are like, okay, I know I've been told is not working. What do I do? And be honest, we just sit down and the simple conversations that we have with them, Jay, is like, what do you know? Like just today, like that conversation I was having with the guy that has a CPA background who, as his job, manages over 300 properties. He has a real estate license. His job is to go pick out properties, commercial buildings, and buy them and manage them for the corporation that he works with. But yet he's still separating the majority of all his cash into an environment that he doesn't know about.
Well,
so it's like,
there's something you said there that I also want to, because I was like, and I'm curious to see where you guys sit and feel. Having been the financial planner, very, very similarly to like you're talking about, I refuse to use, at this stage, I just refuse to use qualified plans. It's just like, no. Like just no. Between their illiquid nature is so limiting for so many people. I think I don't know, maybe I'm being a little extreme, but if we actually did away with qualified plans and forced people, like that would be like the wake up call. Look, no more qualified plans. Now you have to figure it out, and I think that would help everybody. What do you guys say?
I agree 100%. So coming from the background of finance, everybody at some point has probably bought something, most likely their house, right? When you sign the mortgage paperwork, on there somewhere, it tells you what the interest rate is. True?
Well, it tells you a number that you think is the interest rate for sure.
That's right. It gives a number, right? It puts something on there. Now, there's a lot more fine print in there that goes into that. But really, the reality is that if instead of that number, they put 3 letters, TBD, would you ever sign that paperwork?
Right. No.
Never.
No.
So when somebody broke that down as simply it is for me, like you said, the giving up access to money and all that stuff to me is vital, and that's a deal killer. But some people actually see that as a benefit. They think separating the money, hey man, I'm going to spend if I have it, yada yada yada.
They don't trust themselves.
But at the end of the day, when we don't know how much of it we're going to get back because we don't control those terms, it is truly TBD of how much I'm going to pay in tax when I get it back. Like that is at the ultimate, like, why would I ever put money in there? And it is, I mean, like I've heard you say on your podcast in the past, like, we follow what people do and we assume that's the better strategy. But at the end of the day, like we need to find ways to follow our own gifts, our own talents. And maybe it's, man, I need to develop some. So you ask, what do we do? One, we get them in a great cash position. Yes. And secondly, we help surround them in community with people that might drive their passions, whether we find out, are they detail oriented or are they business oriented? And then we help build those passions so that way they can invest in those things.
Well, and one thing that you mentioned, Jay, that we didn't really answer was, what is the problem that we solve?
Sure.
And I think the issue that we keep hearing people coming to us looking for an answer is, how do I quit trading time for money?
Preach it.
Because
now you're talking my language right now. You get me all kinds of excited.
Yeah. So I mean, how do I get out of this position where I'm trading time for money? And if you think about that in light of what we just said about qualified plans, it does not help us get any closer to answering that question. So thus the reason people are saying there's got to be a different way. How can I put money away for the next 30 years or 40 years with no access and get any closer to the real problem? And that is, I want more freedom, time freedom, geographical freedom. I want to travel more with my family. Whatever that itch is that you're trying to fulfill, it doesn't get there with qualified plans.
You were so speaking my world, my language right now, because that's the gift that I was given. That's what I tell people today is I was given the gift because my wife was unable to eat or drink when she's pregnant, because I had a punctured lung, because we were squatting in bank-owned property, because all of the traditional things of go to school, get good grades, get a job were not available. We were forced to find a way to earn money without us physically participating day to day over and over and over again. And it's not like I grew up at the dinner table being taught passive income and strategies, et cetera, and how to build or control or create an asset and sell it into the marketplace, which I think is the thing that I want more people to hear. Is it's a learnable skill. It's a teachable skill. And there's a process to it, and there's no reason to not start today, regardless of age, and I just think it's amazing that but in all of our cases, when I look at your story, all of our stories, it takes some traumatic event to wake us up and actually go, well, what else is there? When the proof is kind of in front of us today. So I'm curious to know, when you guys look at the marketplace, today, when you or someone in your community is out there trying to figure out, which way they should go, how do you help them make that determination? Like, what do they start with?
I think what we've done is we've tried to break it down very simply and say, bring the future to the present in some cases. Okay. Where people are thinking in light of, okay, is this my goal? Is my goal more time freedom today? Well, then why would my plan go counterintuitively to that end and say, you need to defer all of that freedom that you're talking about for the next 25 or 30 years? It doesn't take much for us to just go ahead and just break that down, number one. Number two is we give them, we call it the hierarchy of wealth, right?
Okay.
If we think about, maybe you remember that psychology class that you took that talked about Maslow's hierarchy of wealth,
right?
Or hierarchy of need, right?
Correct.
It starts with the very basic need of food and water. And then it moves into then security, or like shelter. And if you don't have food and water, you really don't care where you live. You're really more focused on just filling your stomach, because that's survival at that point. Then and only then do you think, okay, well, where can I lay my head tonight? And then you move up this ladder up until you get to self-actualization. Well, the way we think about wealth is very similar to that. And it starts with cash and cash flow. And we say, if I don't have cash or cash flow, just like you said, this is like the primary thing that I have to solve in order for me to ever invest. Because if I don't have access to capital, then the greatest investment in the world could go under my nose and I'd never see it. Because I don't think it's for me. It's for somebody else that does have cash and availability of funds. So even though I may have $500,000 sitting in a 401k, those big opportunities are going under our nose every single day. So we start with cash and cash flow. We happen to use cash value in whole life insurance policies and under the infinite banking concept.
Yep.
But that, regardless, you have to start in a cash position. Then we move into things that you control. And that's going to be things like your own business, your own education, being able to invest in yourself. And your number one investment would be a business that you own and control. And then from there, we move into collateralized assets like real estate and or lending. That's why those are the pillars, 4 and 5 of our
Yep.
5 pillars. And then from there, we would say the top tier is 100% speculation. And really, most of our clients never, ever step into speculation, because that's really where you lose all control and you take on all the risk. And that's really the stock market. If you want to sum it up, it's pure speculation. It's a hope strategy. And we don't have to hope when we have these other tiers in place.
100%. I mean, I definitely appreciate what you guys are doing. For those that have listened this far and want to find out more about what you guys got going on, what's going to be the best way for them to catch up with you?
Yeah, hopefully you'll follow her on our podcast, Wealth Without Wallstreet, but you can get access to that from our website, which is wealthwithoutwallstreet.com.
And just something we're talking about pre-show, Jay, is that if you are a part of this kind of mindset, trying to make a shift personally, and you want to join a community of other people that are doing this all across the country, we just launched our national community. It's community.wealthwithoutwallstreet.com. You can go and join there, and it's just a monthly subscription. So if you don't like it, you can totally get out of it. But we're finding people are really connecting and learning. It's a way for them to get access to these 5 pillars to learn what we're talking about, because it can be overwhelming, knowing where to start and all those sort of things. And it's just a great way for people to be around other people.
I also think they intend for it to appear as overwhelming.
100%.
Again, I don't want to go down some tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, but I'm just saying, in general, I think that was a part of somebody's plan somewhere. I'm not saying who, can't even point any fingers, so don't be coming after me. Don't send me no emails. I'm just saying, in general, it can feel that way, and I get it. Now, as we wind down, I've got a final question for you, because I'm really curious to hear your answer, because there's a number of people who have been listening this far, and they started this call possibly in a completely different mental state, emotional state, financial state, feeling like there was no hope. There was nothing but confusion. It was an impossible sea, a morass of information that they could never understand. But yet now they've listened. They've heard, wow, these are nice guys. They sound approachable. They sound like human beings, and they would treat me right. And all of that stuff is what they've heard. And maybe now they're at what I like to call the precipice of decision. It's that point where you draw that line, or that proverbial line in the sand, where you say, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go in this direction. Now, gentlemen, like I know, when it comes to human beings and changing our habits and doing something that's new, we often have a companion when we get to this precipice of decision. And that precipice, oh man, it can appear to be scary. And the companion comes in the form of a voice, and it reminds us of things like why it didn't work last time. And are you seriously, you're going to do something for that's not a 401k? Are you okay? I mean, don't you understand it? I mean, that's why the government put it there for you. You're literally going to try to build your own retirement, and it's going to instill doubt. And for some people, they're related to that voice. So my question to you is as follows. Let's pretend that this time it's going to be different. This time they're actually going to follow through and do what you say, and they're going to do so in the next 24 to 48 hours. Gentlemen, what should they do?
Right now, go to community.wealthwithoutwallstreet.com. You join that community, you see other people doing it. Right. People follow the herd. And it's Simon Sinek has the circle of safety talk that he talks about, where when people are willing to take risks as long as they know there are other people out there taking it, and that's what suckered us into the wealth with Wall Street mindset. And for us, it's like surround yourself with people. Surround yourself with people to know that you're doing the right thing, but follow people that are actually breaking that mold, that feel and look a lot like you. And what we have found in that community is that when people start sharing their stories, and it's stories of the guy who's starting with $10,000 a year to try to create this, is all the way up to the person making $5 billion a year. But it's the guy who we interview on the podcast who had 11 homes when we met him 2 years ago that now has 64. It's the story of the guy who invested in a business that's worth $600,000, and then in 2 years it's worth $5.5 million. It's those kind of encouraging things that says I can do it too. And be honest, you just have to surround yourself with people. The old saying that your net worth is in your network, and this is the network.
100%. I like it. I've often told people that there's people who know what to do but don't know who to do it with. And then there are people who know what to do things with but don't know what to do. And you've got to learn to bring all of that together at the same time. and in order to make it work. And I definitely appreciate the effort. I mean, that you guys you're putting in there, what the lives that you are changing, the work that you're doing. And because I know personally, it's not easy and it's not always filled with a whole bunch of thank yous. But at the same time, it's what drives us. It's what's necessary. And I just want to be the first to say thanks for, taking the time to share your knowledge, your wisdom, and your insight here with us today at the CashFlow Diary.
Man, it's been our pleasure, Jay.
Yeah, it's easy to come on a show like yours because we are like-minded. You've already been breaking the mold of Wall Street personally, and you're helping people to see a whole different world every time they turn this episode on, this podcast on. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you for sharing the message as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? That means wealthwithoutwallstreet.com. When? Now. Why? Because you already know that what you're doing isn't working. I mean, dude, just pull up your, 401k report. You've seen it. The number doesn't look good. That's why you don't look at it. Now you can do something about it. Take that control. You can learn. You have learned, and you can make it better than what it currently is. What you're starting with, completely irrelevant. That you get started, the most important thing you can do today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time. And we're clear. Thank you, gentlemen. I was trying to get done in time. Sorry for the going over.
No worries, man. We appreciate you, and definitely want to circle back and see how we can have you add value into our group as well. Because I love what I've heard so far, and I'm eager to continue to listen. One, as amazing host. Joey and I have so much room to improve in our hosting. If you listen to any of our podcasts, you're like, you guys really suck at that.
Yeah, we were a little bit on the depressed mode after listening to yours. Like, well, let's listen to the show, just get kind of a couple, pointers, whatever. Like, dang, we got a long way to go.
Is that, by the way, that's a question I have. Just from
obviously
you're running your show very well, like moving camera angles and yes, posting things up there, like. How much background did you do to get to this point? Did you learn from people in that area, or is this a skill set you already possess?
Interesting question. There is a story. So about 6 years ago, at that time, I think we had about I want to say 117 houses and some change and whatnot. It was 38. And bored is what happened. So I got bored, and then I was going with my kids they had a field trip to the fire station. That's what it was. And I wanted to go. I wanted to take photos like any other dad would. Now, understand what I said. Young children at a fire station who do not sit still. So I went and I took pictures. And what happened is that in the process, I didn't know anything about cameras and all this other stuff, but all my pictures came back blurry because the kids didn't sit still. They just it was frustrating. And what happened is that I said, I want a real camera. I didn't know what that meant. And what happened is that I have there's this thing in me. It's like once I start something, I must see it through to completion, and by virtue of the assets, photography is a very expensive hobby, yet we also had the time to master it. And on the other end, I ended up discovering I like it a lot. I did not know that, and everything you're witnessing is self-taught, for lack of a better way of putting it, and but I also enjoy it immensely, right? I can't do normal vacation photos. That's just not me. I just like making it better. And then what happened is one of my CFOs said, you have all this equipment, you probably, if you could figure out a way to use it in, business, it'll probably help. And then I realized that could become a competitive advantage in terms of how quickly and easily we could create high quality content that would be very clear and very instructional for entrepreneurs across the globe. So that's what happened is I started just using the same cameras. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3-camera setup plus my screen. And the same things that I would do on stage, I could now do, at home without having to go anywhere. And one of your guests on your podcast, Patrick Donahoe, he's a friend of mine. And at the time we were hanging around Robert Kiyosaki, etc. And he had said something. He's like, Jay, you can put more people online than you could ever put in a stadium. And I was like, he's got a point. And I was getting tired of the road game. So I just collapsed all of that. I had to learn everything to then put it online. That's a whole different thing. And probably the newest thing I'm learning right now is sound, as you guys experienced at the beginning, is trying to sound. Ooh, I have such an appreciation for the people in Hollywood and TV and entertainment who are doing sound now. It is a whole new thing. So, especially if you're trying to do it live. Like this right here, being able to do a 2-way conversation to where I can hear you without headphones, you can hear me and the audience do so. You don't even want to know how many hours it took me to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Well, do you even have your mic? Like, is it like a boom mic over top of you, or is it?
I do have one, but I'm not using it at the moment. You're wondering, how does it sound like this when you don't see a microphone? And especially when I've switched 3 different camera angles. I use a different technique with my lav mics. It's actually right here, and it's taped under my shirt with special tape that allows the microphone to still be exposed.
Wow.
Unreal. Yeah, because that looks so stinking natural. We're sitting over here like hovering around our mics trying to make sure we don't, take the angle out so it doesn't mess it up. But
yeah, that's exactly why, and that's exactly why I went. So I do have the boom. I could use that, and I have, these, because sometimes, it makes sense to use them. But because it's just me, I know that I need to move. I have to move in order to do all of the stuff. So it's just me, and I needed a microphone that didn't detract from the audio quality, because if you get bad audio in your video, people stop watching.
No doubt.
No question.
Is there a special type of lavalier mic that you use that allows it to work better underneath the shirt?
I'm using the Shure GLX D4. It's wireless. But yeah, Shure GLX D4. I don't think there's anything special about it or any others, because I also have the Rode Smart Lav Plus. So especially like if I'm mobile or outside, or on the other side of the room, or standing up in front of my whiteboards and whatnot. So yeah, no, I would not say that there's anything particularly special about it. It's just a different technique, and I felt it looked cleaner. I just felt it looked cleaner. And I just like it better. So then I don't wear ties. I don't wear collared shirts. So doing a lav mic without either of those two things always looks horrible to me when they are using the clip. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So, and I wasn't about to just wear a collared shirt specifically so that I could. It's like, I have to make it fit me. Otherwise, I won't go live, or I won't. And the message, I wouldn't be an effective messenger, because I wouldn't be able to keep going live, because I would think, oh my God, I got to put on a collared shirt today,
So can we just so we can wrap right now? I know we both have to leave, but can we send you a complimentary access to our community and get you on the docket to interview you for our podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm assuming to get this far, you interacted with Megan in some way, shape, or form. If you send
Tracy was probably talking to Megan. I don't know.
Oh, got it. Okay, so yeah, so if you just have Tracy send whatever over to Megan, and I can definitely do a podcast recording as well. Yeah, that would be great. Again, that's the entire point of CashFlow Diary, is that I feel like I've been given a unique opportunity through, yes, tragic circumstance, but it allowed me at a very young age, still a young age, to understand certain things that has created a lifestyle that I want other people to be able to experience. The more people that I can tell that to, the happier I get, man. That's literally why I get up. I mean, obviously we still do our own transactions, I still do our own deals. We earn way more money on the real estate side than we do from the education stuff. But what gets me excited is helping someone earn their first six figures. And now, like in the last 18 months, we finally created our first, I think it's 4 of them now, maybe it's 6, our first 7-figure student. So the more we get to share that message, the happier I get.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, so we totally, we want to hear more about those stories and share that. Sure. And just have you as a resource inside the community. Not only where you would gain value, but people could gain value from you and the tools and information that you have. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Whatever's going to help and work. And like I said, there are mothers, brothers, servicemen right now who are likely praying for a solution. And who knows, something I say might give them the courage to actually go pursue one. And that's exactly why we do what we do.
That's right. Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Great speaking with you.
So we're going to do our best. We're going to start doing the post-production and whatnot. My guess, though, is you're not going to see this till late October, maybe beginning November, for the actual recorded version. So.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Cool. All right. You guys have fun, and I will talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
All right, bye.